to another Star Minigaming YouTube video, and this video is almost a response to my own video. I wanted to go in a bit deeper to the Malignants box set, the special Warscroll Battalion rule that it comes with. Now this is obviously several different languages. This first part right here just dictates what has to be in it. Second part right here is actually the rules, and then we have the rules in other languages. But anyways, I made the comment in my initial video where I was reviewing the box set that I was like, oh, this is nice, you know, this isn't game breaking. Well, having gone back and looked at the rule that this Warscroll Battalion gives you and really thought about it, this may be the most game breaking rule that I've seen yet within the Age of Sigmar. You know, we've seen other Warscroll Battalions and hero abilities and all that give you +1 to your attack, to your movement, to your charge, reroll, things like that, that are all pretty powerful. But I want to tell you why I think this one might be the most powerful of all. So I'm going to have pictures up here to kind of demonstrate to you. I'm going to scoot over because of that, give myself a little more room, to kind of show you exactly what I mean. But this is a powerful, powerful ability. So all that it takes for you to run this formation is exactly what comes in the box set. Now real quick, whenever you get the box set, you can build the Mortis Engine and the Hex Wraiths in either of their two options. So you don't have to build the Mortis Engine, you can build the Coven Throne. You don't have to build the Hex Wraiths, you can build the Black Knights. However, to run this formation, you have to build the Mortis Engine, the Hex Wraiths, and the Spirit Hosts, and of course run them all together. And then the special ability, again, is Ghost Storm. In each of your hero phases, you can remove either the unit of Spirit Hosts or Hex Wraiths from the battlefield. Then immediately set them back up within 6 inches of the battalion's Mortis Engine and more than 3 inches away from the enemy. That's where it ends. Notice that this occurs during the hero phase. So this is the very beginning of turn. This happens before the movement, this happens before shooting, this happens before charging, this happens before combat. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, let's start out with the obvious first, and then we'll go into a bit more of the obscure and kind of scenario specifics based upon, you know, what's really going on the table. So the first thing that's obvious is this does not say anything about taking up your model's move. It doesn't say your model can't shoot, charge, anything else in the turn. So you only have to set up more than 3 inches away. So let's take this Hex Wraith, for example. They're in combat with an enemy that you don't want them to be in combat with. Maybe they'd be tied up for a while. Your normal only option for this kind of situation is that you spend your movement to retreat from combat, as I've covered in another video when you might or might not want to do that, and to basically spend that turn doing nothing else other than moving. You may not charge, you may not shoot, anything else like that in the turn that you withdraw from combat. This is not a withdrawal from combat in that sense. If my Hex Wraiths are locked in combat with a massed group of enemies that would take me several turns to chew through, and I have more important targets, or I need to claim a objective that's on the board, whatever it might be, I can immediately remove these guys from combat because I removed them from the table. So they ignore the normal rules in this formation from withdrawing from combat. Then they can be placed anywhere within 6 inches of the Mortis Engine, and so far as they are outside of 3 inches of any enemy. So I can, and please note, all the units in this formation can fly. So I can remove my models, put them next to my Mortis Engine, who I have moved elsewhere on the board, towards a more important target, towards a objective, whatever it might be, and now place these guys down there. And then they can move, and then they can charge as normal. And the fact that they can fly is ridiculous when combined with this. So if you have your Stormcast, as seen here, in a formation, to prevent my Mortis Engine from getting to your hero, represented by this Lord Relictor, and you have them blocked to where, as I talked about in my screening video, my Mortis Engine cannot get in base contact with your Lord Relictor, I can summon these Hex Wraiths over, and I can move right over your guys because I can fly. I do not end my turn in my movement too close to any of you. I then charge anything but snake eyes and I'm in. And promptly I attack your Lord Relictor or whatever other high importance model that I choose. That's number one, and that is huge. That's absolutely huge. Second option is, I have these guys nearly dead. I need to get them out of combat to regroup. Same thing holds true. Immediately remove them from combat, place them somewhere else. I don't think I can stress how big of a game-changing ability. I understand that it's a limited amount of models. You have one unit of Hex Wraiths and one unit of Spirit Hosts and one Mortis Engine that take part in this. But even so, because in Age of Sigmar, unless you're playing some kind of comp, you don't have to worry about size of the unit, size of the squad. I could have a squad of 20 Hex Wraiths if I really wanted to abuse this that pulls out of combat and places within it. And the big thing is, it says that you must set it up within 6 inches of the battalion's Mortis Engine and more than 3 inches away from the enemy. So in essence what this means is, I can, if you watch the Paul Conti video that I will link below, talking about snaketailing, I can pull my guys out of combat and snaketail, so long as one model is within 6 inches of this Mortis Engine, because then the unit counts as being within 6 inches. One model within 6 inches of the Mortis Engine, and I can snaketail my way across the board to suddenly set up a screen against the enemy, to claim an objective that nobody was currently on, to basically be able to cover most of, if not any amount of the battlefield that I need automatically. Not to mention the fact that the Mortis Engine itself can fly, and if you have this as your intent, you can use the Mortis Engine's flying ability, and it's pretty quick. 14 inches movement to set this up 1 or 2 turns ahead. The maneuverability of this is ridiculous. I don't think it's that hard to see how this seemingly small ability in a game that movement is so important as in Age of Sigmar can come into play. I mean, the ability to move your Hex Wraiths up and get in a good position to where the enemy feels they need to come to you to complete whatever objective they have and drawing their forces to you, and then just teleporting your units in essence across the battlefield to hit a weakened flank or to take an objective that's been exposed, or if your opponent was currently holding like a watchtower or some kind of defensible terrain, to then move over and then take that as soon as they've moved out, is ridiculous. I'm going to show this in a battle report that I'm going to shoot pretty soon. Hopefully within the next few days I'll get it shot, and then I'll get it up shortly after that. But the potential for this ability is near limitless. Again, I understand it's a small amount of units that can do this, but the Hex Wraiths are no slouches. Spirit Host can be really good for tying enemies down, and the Mortis Engine itself is pretty powerful. And really with the Mortis Engine, you don't care if it's not directly in close combat because of its screaming abilities. And whenever I pair this with my Terrorgeist, the ability to just move a large chunk of my army around the battlefield at will and to completely outpace anything that my opponent can do is amazing. I mean, you can bet that almost every game I will set my Hex Wraiths and my Spirit Host on the opposite end of the battlefield from my Mortis Engine and allow them to go off and do their thing. And then should for whatever reason, the opportunity arise where I need to move my troops around to claim the objective, protect my Mortis Engine, fight an enemy, whatever, instantly I can do that. And my opponent will always have to, any opponent that plays me with this formation in play will always have to watch out for that. They'll always have to be aware of that. And so, even if you never teleport, just by putting these two things within the same battalion on opposite ends of the table and basically having a two-pronged approach, you basically force your opponent into paralysis or to not ever overcommitting because of your ability to react so quickly to it. Just imagine if you took 2 of this formation. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous what you could do if you wanted to field multiples of this formation. Anyways, I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse. I think that's a pretty good summary and gives you a good idea of what this formation is capable of and how this may be the most game-breaking formation I've seen yet within the Age of Sigmar. Stay tuned. Like I said, I'm going to try to show its power in an upcoming battle report that hopefully I'll be able to shoot early or a little bit further on in this week. If not, I'll get it in as soon as I can. But until next time, this is James, and happy gaming.